Oh my lord. It is your guy, full of love for everything in this country, except for maybe the people who run it. I love everybody in this country. I love even the new people that come to this country, that come here to get a better life from the countries and hardships they are experiencing. However, there is something I really do not like. It is how the government handles its own people. I have found a way to handle this in a respectful manner in which I do not come off as a dick. Where I have spent days researching into this, and I have, of course, come across many other videos talking about this very exact same problem in Canada. And this isn't really a funny video. I get, well, it's, unless you count the state of Canada being a joke. I'm clapping for myself there. Anywho, freaking, here we go, fellas. The grass is not greener on the other side. A comprehensive guide of why Canada is kind of going down the crapper right now. So let's start off with a couple things that are a little blatant in the everyday face of you and me, the Canadian citizen. Let's talk about how there has been a lot of new money printed and a lot more incomes established in Canada over the past 3 years. There last year there was 1.3 million, rounded up, about new Canadians, whether they be students or immigrants or something like that, and that's establishing Canadian income in Canada, in a sense. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, the problem is how the government handles it. You see, the government tends to hurt the lower class and the middle class. Personally, I am not middle class. I am actually in the lower class. And in all honesty, this is the most transparent I have ever been about myself and my situation. I cannot feasibly live in an apartment on my own. It is just not doable in Canada right now. There is a population crisis, and it just keeps getting worse. And it's not just due to immigration problems. Like, I'm not going to dance around the bush and say, yeah, the mass immigration can be a problem, but another problem is the fact that Canadians just are booming right now. It ain't just immigration. It's also Canada itself. People just be reproducing. And some people be reproducing constantly. Which brings us to another point on inflation. Covering a even larger populace now with food. Now we have a bunch of food. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I know you probably took civics class and you understand what I am telling you right now, and I'm just over explaining inflation and how it works. But it's literally at the point now where it's gross. Because, once again, this isn't. Even though this is our issue, the perpetrator of this issue, once again, is the Canadian government and the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada, I didn't mention until now, but the Bank of Canada is literally the worst part of this because for some reason they think just taxing everybody increasing the taxes, might add, the taxes in Canada have increased a grim amount over the past 4 years in general. We have had prices skyrocket because the Bank of Canada raised its interest rates. And what can the government do other than overprint money? They're not even handling, like, our government's so bad right now, fellas, that they can't even handle their own defense budgets. They're just throwing an up in the air thing. They're throwing it up in the air when when the defense budgets are being handled. I hate being political. I hate talking politics. I hate politics in general. I'm not big on politics. If I gave a shit about politics, it would honestly not enrich me even further. And that is why I don't give a crap about politics. It doesn't change my situation. Sure, I know I have to learn about the stuff just to be up with the stuff, just to be, like, up to date as a Canadian citizen. But literally, it doesn't make my life any better to know what's going on in the caucus of Canada. As a matter of fact, when I do hear what goes on in the caucus of Canada, it makes me really sad. And one big thing is our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. The only thing he did was he did what every smart American politician did and decriminalized marijuana as soon as he got in, and that was his in to try to get Canada to vote for him. He literally bribed Canada to get in office. And then when he got in office, he literally he, he torched it worse than his dad did. Little Canadian history: Pierre Trudeau. Established uh, he established NAFTA along with other things, but he literally just started giving away Canada's resources for free to other countries without getting much in return. And we wonder why our deficit is so low over here. It's because our government does what that U2 song, it gives itself away, and it gives. I'm not going further into that. I fucking hate U2. Uh, uh, I can't believe I sullied this video. A video that's already sullied by, like, the tinge of talking about politics in general, and then I go and bring you two into this. You know what? I'm gonna do something that this government doesn't do. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. And I'm gonna say sorry for making you sit down 10 minutes at this point to talk about politics and U2, and I do the U2 thing. I I cannot forgive myself for that. I'm sorry I slapped you guys with U2. That is the most horrible thing I have ever done to a group of human beings at once is hit them with a U2. There's still like two more reasons I have to talk about too why Canada isn't doing good. Racism in Canada is sadly at an all-time high. And it's really sad. And part of it, I hate to say, we keep hiring anti Semitic government officials for some reason. Like, seriously. A bunch of. I have never seen until the past few years. I got something in my eye. Shit. I have literally seen two MPs just in Ontario alone get fired for anti-Semitic remarks. Let that sink in. Oh, let's talk about Justin Trudeau and the blackface thing. Yes, Justin Trudeau did blackface. He did more than just blackface, too. I tell you, Canada is a fucking joke. And the last thing I'm going to bring up about one thing that sucks about Canada, and y'all weren't ready for this one. I know I wasn't ready for this one. How we treat our homeless population. You seriously got benches with spikes on it. You got sidewalks with spikes on it. You got all sorts of anti-homeless measures. Sure, they just tried something new in multiple cities where they open up warming buses for the homeless. A lot of our Canadian resources are dried up. A lot of our most in need are dying. They're literally cast to the sides of the street, panhandling for money, and getting addicted to drugs because that's literally the only thing that keeps them from mentally collapsing under society, being tormented by people who just look down on them. And it's sad. It's really fucking sad. There's similar issues going on in America, and Canada's pretty bad as well. It's sad how you could see two countries side by side just hurting their most in need. And Canada takes it a step further by letting the homeless suffer and giving too much of itself to other countries without expecting much back. Which sounds selfish, which sounds very nice, but it is, in a turn, killing our loved ones by forcing them on the streets. The rents just become barely affordable. As I said at the beginning of this, I would not be able to live off my own salary. I only make like $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month, and the baseline for a one bedroom is 15 over here. Baseline for a bachelor, 950 to 1100. Now, if I were to get a bachelor at 900, I would only have $100 to feed myself. Then I would starve. Let that sink in. That is why I give myself a little more of myself than I should to others. I, I live by doing what I can for those I love. It doesn't matter what ends up happening to me at the end there. All that matters is that those I love are taken care of, and I do not want them in the streets. I would much rather give up my own privacy, live with family members, make sure they're safe in this world, than to live off on my own, not be around anybody, and forced to be on the streets. I've been on the streets before, fellas. I have been homeless. I have been on house wait lists for years. And the problem is, Canada just doesn't give a fuck about its homeless. If you're homeless, you're basically dead to the government. You even need an address to get income support. Now, there's a surprise fourth topic I need to talk about in this that I have to address. The occupation problem. Canada has been really bad to its workforce. It has been really bad to its workforce. Almost as bad as it has been to its homeless. I'm saying no competition here. Homeless have it the worst in Canada. But the workforce is treated fucking horribly. The government takes a portion of your check every bit, just because, like, they gotta pay into that EI benefits, other benefits, insurance, stuff like that, and they take a good portion of your gross pay. So a lot of times when it comes to things being covered in Canada, sometimes your benefits don't cover that and you suffer because of it. If you need life-saving medication and your benefits don't cover that, fuck you. You're going to die. That's our government in a nutshell, fellas. That's Canada in a nutshell. The last thing I am bringing up about the workforce being treated like poo-poo. Why is inflation so high and you're still fucking talking about how bad it would be to increase minimum wage? You've already made the Canadian dollar a Canadian peso. Borderline, like, seeing the value of a Canadian dollar just tank harder than Garen in League of Legends, spinning like a freaking Beyblade into an Annie, and Blitzcrank full force. Yeah, I just did that. That's how toxic Canada is. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news here, but someone has to break the reality barrier on Canada somehow. Why not be someone who's really tired of his own life?